8:38 on KLIN, and we talk tech, social media, gadgets, marketing, and the like with Jason Petersen from Generate Marketing every couple of weeks, and he's in studio with me again today on a rare Thursday. Hello, Jason. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Jack.
Good
How are you, man?
to talk to you. I am glad you are in this week.
Absolutely.
Because the things we talk about are right in the forefront of the news and really have been for the last week with Facebook, the FTC getting interested in Facebook, Zuckerberg putting out apologies, now perhaps about ready to testify in front of Congress. As you've watched this drama unfold with Facebook, the entire story of Cambridge Analytica, this personality quiz app, people's information, what's been your reaction and your opinion about what the future of Facebook is going to be?
Well, I think that, as we've talked about, obviously, this whole crescendo of digital communications and capturing data. I mean, data is the value, and it's ultimately the thing that Facebook and Google has. And obviously, the thing now is we're dealing with the use and abuse of that information. So to me, I mean, do I think Facebook is going to disappear? No. But do I think that they're at a situation where they will either start to stagnate or diminish? Yes. To me, I'm kind of waiting to see how they're going to handle this. I mean, I was interviewed the other day about this too, and I think that, the part that I understand in the world of technology is when you have a data set you can integrate with, which all that means is you can communicate with that technology is, I don't think they did a very good job of scrutinizing or understanding or really like policing how people were using that data. So I think that was very lazy. Now, I think the thing in the last couple of days that has maybe concerned me more since then is just that I think that the supposed privacy settings that we've been using are kind of like wishy-washy. So to me, if Facebook is going to build trust, and I think that's the thing, Jack, that is really concerning me, is with these networks, it's about trust. And when you breach a user's trust, it's okay. Now, what are you going to do about that? So I guess that's, to me, is I'm not panicking. I think I'm telling the listeners not to do that. I really want to see how they respond to this. I don't think Zuckerberg's evil, okay? I mean, like I joked, like 20 years ago, we thought Bill Gates was evil, okay? So I don't want to jump to that conclusion, but I do think it's something that, these guys, I think he's a little flippant. He's a little Candyman, or Candyland, I should say. He's like living there in Foo-Foo land, and he thinks everything's going to be perfect. And I think he needs to seriously take some responsibility for the fact that people are going to use this data in bad and good ways.
See, here's why I have some skepticism about the idea that people en masse are going to leave it because of data concerns. The premise, as you mentioned at the outset, and I've mentioned several times on this segment with me, of Facebook, the way that they are able to be solvent is by garnering data on people who become users. Now, it's according to, or should be according to, a user agreement that all of us had to say yes to when we started this, and according to the privacy settings that we have. But that's what makes Facebook Facebook, is taking our data and selling it, right? Or I don't know if data is the right word, but things,
I mean, it's the
things about all of us.
That's right. It's the footprint we leave behind in terms of the activity and what we're doing. And I think that, this is the part. So, I mean, I think to your point, Jack, is on the one hand, everything's up for grabs. I mean, like Equifax and these places like that, and these individuals that had credit stuff, I mean, they're getting hacked. So on the one hand, I would argue that we don't live in a world very much of privacy anymore.
Right.
On the other hand, I do think that, there needs to be a reasonable amount of responsibility for these networks and being transparent. And, I mean, like you said, Jack, I mean, like my 10 years of my life since I've met my wife and my kids is more or less there. Okay, so am I going to leave? No. Are there going to be some people that close it? Yes. But again, I think that this overarching conversation is around the fact that Facebook got into a world that they did not want to get into. And that was news management. That was more or less into politics. I really don't think that's what Facebook ever wanted to do. And, again, allowing this data, and again, you got to scrutinize. I always say this with tech. There's the good and the bad. There's the use and the abuse. And we are living and going through a scenario where now somebody has taken that and they have abused that information. So that doesn't Facebook isn't, I mean, they're to blame, they're responsible. But at the end of the day, I also have to say, like you said, we have volunteered to be part of it. And just in the world we live in, technology is going to be used inappropriately and appropriately at the same time.
I guess I have some skepticism about the idea that because of this, so many people are going to leave because, as you said, you've kind of rung that bell of putting your information out there by just joining it and now knowing right now exactly how Facebook makes it money. And not to say, that's not to say what they did with Cambridge Analytica or any of these other things are okay. I'm just saying, I don't know, people may be able to stomach it because they've already gone far enough down the road of putting their data out there. The other thing about it, and you alluded to this as well, for me personally, I've said this on the program several times. I use Facebook for work for the show now.
Yep.
And that's still a very valuable tool for me. I think a lot of our listeners do. But for me personally, I don't enjoy the app or the website nearly as much as I once did.
Yep,
in terms of just browsing it, interacting it. I don't do it anymore for a variety of reasons. Partly is how it's set up. Part of it is the content. Part of it is, there's other options now. There are all of those things. That said, so that not browsing it would not be something that I feel like I would particularly miss anymore. Maybe a couple of years ago I would have. But the thing that I'm reluctant to do, and you mentioned this, it's basically for a lot of us, it's a diary of a decade of our lives.
Yeah.
Basically, depending on what 2010 to almost 2020 was documented via pictures, via posts, via all of these things on Facebook. And you remember when they went to the timeline view a few years back, and that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be this kind of documentation. And there's a part of me that kind of wants to keep that.
Yeah,
there's some people who are going to be able to say, screw it, I don't care. But there's a part of me that kind of keeps that, the on this day thing that comes up, right?
Yep.
To me, has a pull for me.
That's a pull for me. And Jack, what's been amazing is I've been watching to see, because as you know, we help a lot of small businesses, because for us, it's purely about the sandbox that our clients, customers play and we hang out. I've seen nothing change. Nothing. Now, the hilarious part of this is there's been this big, let's go to Instagram, but Facebook owns Instagram, and everybody's like, okay. So this idea that we're still lemmings. I realize people are trying to be smart and everything, and personally myself, I'm becoming more and more a fan of Instagram the longer I use it. But at the end of the day, I think these kinds of corrections are good. I think that a certain level of accountability and this kind of stuff. My kids are getting into the age now where they're going to have access to the internet. And me being the person I am, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I know all the good, but I know all the bad that's out there. So it's this kind of stuff that addresses some of the people that are just on cruise control. That's a good thing. Where this all shakes out, again, social media is not going anywhere. This world of transparent engagement, and, as you've heard me say many times, is a lot of these principles of whether it's, weird or not with digital, it's still based on the idea of connecting people. And that's old school. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, how that continues to evolve, to me, that's going to be the real question is how that happens. But I definitely think that from a user perspective, I don't think we're going to see this massive 500 million exodus or anything like that.
Now, that makes me wonder too. What is the future though of the format with use? I think declining, regardless of this, but maybe with this as well. I don't think you're going to have people jumping ship. But what's the next step? Do they look at some point, a subscription user fee or something to give people a more desirable experience on it? Is there something else? I think the perception that I have of the timeline and browsing it isn't universal, but I think a lot of people feel the same way that I do. It's just not as fun as it used to be.
And to me, let's use the Pandora Spotify idea or whatever. Let's say free, you get some ads. You spend $3.99 a month, you get nothing.
Right.
Or something like that.
You got to get something, though. You got to get something.
You got to get something. There's got to be a carrot.
Hey, I might do it for just a chronological timeline view.
Yeah.
My goodness. I am telling you, if there is one thing I could add to every social media out there right now is the ability just to have a chronological view. And Twitter basically has that. But even if you use the Twitter app, it now throws in more and more stuff that someone else favorited this, right? Or here's a sponsored post, or here's something you might be interested from 20. No, I want chronological.
Yes.
I want from now down. Instagram doesn't do it.
No.
They do it a little bit more now. Facebook isn't even close to it anymore. You remember you used to have a toggle on Facebook,
yes,
where you could go to, I don't remember, it was either chronological or let their algorithms do it.
That's right. Yep, absolutely.
To me, I miss that. I like that chronological thing. I actually got the Twitter app has gotten so bad with that I actually got a third party. I paid $5 and got a third party Twitter app that doesn't have any of the stuff that you might like.
What are you using?
Or it's called, I got to look at it. I already forgot what it's called. Tweetbot.
Yep.
I paid $5 for it.
Yep.
And went ahead and did that. So anyway, well, that good conversation on Facebook, I think, an interesting one. And I assume you're telling your clients kind of the same thing, because you've got a lot of clients that rely obviously on that as a marketing option, perhaps to supplement their other marketing.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, it's kind of the Google, Facebook question and stuff. We still look at Facebook as still a referral mechanism. I tell people that it's referral marketing. But yeah, I mean, everything I do is about numbers. So if the engagement goes down, we change something. So, I mean, for us, we're not super we're very objective about what we use. But again, it's what we see and what I've seen nothing change. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's just going to be, I just look at this in the broader context of a better correction for social media having a greater level of responsibility, of just taking care of our data. So, got
a couple of minutes left. I want to stick with another headline that's been in the local news. You saw LPS had another big purchase of Chromebooks.
Yes.
My son is bringing his Chromebook home every day. You've been kind of an advocate for Chromebooks for your own, just trying them out and doing some things with it. Where do you think this where the education market is with Chromebooks versus other laptops versus iPads or anything else is going to lead when it comes to the viability of these things going forward?
Well, I think that one of the things, personally, I thought Chromebooks were the weirdest, dumbest things that came out. And as we know, sometimes Google's very hit and miss on some of their innovations. But what's interesting is, as a result of all this hacking and all these issues that are subject to PCs and Macs, period, regardless, we call it thin client. It's very, very simple layered in terms of its efficiency and how it runs and how fast it is, that you don't run into all these issues that you normally have with a PC. And because of the way Chrome has evolved, browser-based interaction, let's be honest, many of us probably spend 75% in a browser. And then on top of that, they've added the ability to add Android apps, which kind of has this weird mashup. From an education perspective, you can get a good laptop now that runs well, that you can run, Office, basic apps, you can run the Android stuff, and you spend like $250. Mm-hmm. And the problem I have with the iPads, as much as I have touted them and loved them, is once I tasted this, is that I wanted to have the touch and desktop, in the sense that I wanted a full browser. And the iPad doesn't give us that. And Apple obviously announced their $299 new iPads, which is great, and that's awesome. But I didn't realize Apple only has maybe 18 to 20% of the market share in the education. It's PC, and then I think Chrome has 56. So to me personally, from a security from my kids and the way that they're using, I think Chromebooks are brilliant for the education market. I think that's a really smart angle to go.
It's interesting to see how the kids, at least LPS, using Chromebooks. I know, but they still have Macs in their media center, for instance, or in their computer class, where they use. A lot of them, when you get to the middle school and high school level, they have iPhones that they're using, right?
Yeah, they have iPads and everything.
So they're getting...
Yeah, they're growing up like ambidextrous. And I think that's the thing that I personally make myself do. I still, as you know, I use every technology, but I think for them, they're just going to be more intelligent consumers, because like we've said, it's not that one is just better than the other. It's that each of them have different benefits and different cons. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I never would have guessed that Chromebooks would have had merits beyond just very basic, but for us, we do some basic video editing, and I've been amazed.
All right, that's Jason Petersen, Generate Marketing. Always great conversation. Look forward to doing it again in a couple weeks, all right?
Sounds good, man.